Good. I have the intent to lawsuit the town of Portsmouth and everybody involved in the situation that took place April 7th. Now, I've given them plenty of opportunity to correct the situation, and they didn't do it. I've got my medical records. I've got copies, proof, fact, and evidence of everything, and I'm a pro se litigant. So you will be speaking to me, and we will either deal with this outside of court, or I am not shy to enter the courtroom, and everybody knows it. So what happened is I was violated not only on a small state level, but a constitutional level. And mind you, I have a disability. I bear a pacemaker, and I was violated. My medical records provide fact that your EMT service, who transported me through the Portsmouth Fire Department, who also assisted, not only did they make false accusations about me and claim in front of me while I was laying on the ground suffering from a heart attack. My pulse rate was 165 when they got me to the hospital. The EMT that had me up against his knee and lifted my right pant leg is the one that claimed I had track marks. Okay? I've never done drugs in my life. That's very defamatory to me, very slanderish, amongst a whole lot of other things that it's very much of. So I'm going to suggest and request that somebody tend to this, and they tend to it immediately. Not only that, but when I was transported, the EMT was claiming to me, as I was in a medical distress, that it was my fault that I was going through what I was, and I was in charge of what was happening. As a result of that, I got my medical records. I was transported to the hospital. The ER doctor and everybody that was involved has already been lawsuited. I've already filed it. And I'm waiting for the docketed case number because I just sent it in. However, the fact is, at that hospital, it was founded that I had an irregular, an abnormal as well, reading on an EKG. Noting that I was vomiting profusely, I have a pacemaker, my heart rate was 165, and they still did not treat me very well. They treated me horribly. I have nightmares about it. It happened April 7th. I'm still having nightmares about it. I have PTSD. I'm on disability. And I have every intent to sue the living snot out of every single person, the town, the police department, the town manager himself, and the county. What are we going to do about it? My name is Kimberly. My last name is Crossan. C-R-O, Sam, O, Nancy.
Hold on a second.
Sure.
Okay, how are you?
I'm doing all right, thank you, for the situation that it being. I'm not very happy though, and I've been under a lot of distress, losing sleep, and having still nightmares since it happened April 7th, 2024. I was violated by city employees, and I'm not impressed by it, nor am I going to let the situation go unattended.
Okay, when you say violated, what does that mean? And,
That means, I was violated from civil rights, human rights, disability rights, many rights. And I'll tell you real quick what happened is the fact that I was being defamed. People were told that I had track marks on my leg by one of the EMTs, which is very false. I've never done drugs in my life. I smoke marijuana. I don't do drugs. And then I was transported in the ambulance as they waited with me on the ground for I don't know how long, but I was suffering on the ground, hypothermia, probably without a jacket on, knowing that I have a pacemaker. I had asked several times for a jacket during the situation before it ended me on the ground, puking profusely. Wasn't able to talk. I was swallowing my tongue, is what it seemed to be. And noting that when I reached the hospital during that ride, I was being yelled at by one of the EMTs. I've requested all this information from the chief of the fire chief and everybody involved for names and such, so that because I told them back in April I have the intent to lawsuit. Now I've just filed with the attorney that upholds the rights through Seacoast Law against Greenland PD, the town, the county, and everybody in between. And I'm fixing to file against Portsmouth and everybody else because Greenland wanted to play games and they wouldn't want to uphold my rights. So therefore, I'm going to uphold my rights.
Oh, okay. So are these separate incidents you're talking about? I'm sorry. I'm just trying to understand.
Separate incidents. Not at all. Hold my rights to get in contact with their attorney because they want to call my bluff and because they think that I'm just somebody on disability and degrading my education as well as my common sense and violating me even further by transparency issues. Now, I do have credentials. Yes, I am on disability because I unfortunately contracted Lyme's disease and ended up with a pacemaker, but that doesn't mean that I'm mentally or emotionally unfit, and I'm very well educated. In fact, one of my better friends is high-profile attorney Scott Fenn. So yeah, I'm not playing games here, and I have a cousin that's running for Kennedy Jr., hence my last name being Howes. I am not just somebody that doesn't belong. My grandfather is a founder of this land, and I'll be damned if I'm going to be abused by anybody.
Okay. Sure. I'm just trying to understand. I think what it is.
What it is that happened was they violated my rights, and I'm going to sue them if they don't settle with me. So I am going to request that you set up a conference between me, everybody that seems to be a high society elite for the town, city of Portsmouth, everybody that was involved. I want the young EMTs that mistreated me, violated me, yelled at me, claimed I had track marks, mistreated me, okay, and held me on the ground for several moments before putting me into the ambulance. I want all the body cams, I want the dash cams, I want the statements, I want everything. I want badge ID numbers, and I want you to sit with me at the table with the head chief of every single one of them. The fire chief, the police chief, the commissioners, and everybody, and they're going to face me and they're going to answer to me. Or we're going to have a civil matter, and it's not going to be a problem. It is going to be a solution in the courtroom, and I will take it right to Supreme Court in Washington, D.C. When I tell you I'm not playing, I'm not playing. 2019, I filed lawsuits, 87 billion plus multi-million, and they're still in litigation. If you think I'm joking, you look up Barnett Woman Sues. But until then, you've got 24 hours, Mr. Attorney, to get back to me with a date that you're going to conference with me and all those boys and girls involved and come up with a conclusion and a solution to the situation. And I'm going to end this call because I'm getting heightened with my anxiety, which triggers my pacemaker. And if it wasn't for the abuse and neglect and all the trauma they caused me on April 7th, you and I wouldn't be discussing this today. My phone number is 407-415-9